I'm Eric, and this is Campnab Q&A. Today, I'm going to answer the question, why did I receive 2 alerts for the same campsite? This one took us a while to figure out. The first time it happened, we thought there was some kind of a bug in the system, but we saw it happen enough that we realized that wasn't the case. As we looked into this more, we started to realize that new alerts for the same campsite often were staggered at a certain frequency. This was generally in the neighborhood of every 15 to 30 minutes. So let me give you an example of what this would look like. Someone would receive an alert that would say, "Hurry, campsite at this park is available." They'd click through and that campsite was already reserved. This is always a bit of a bummer, but it happens. Then 15 to 20 minutes later, they'd receive another alert, which would be identical to the one they just received. Upon clicking through, that site may or may not be available depending on whether someone else had already booked it. Now, in certain situations, this could happen a number of times, which is quite kind of maddening at first. Why is the system sending me the same alert for a campsite that is already rebooked? This took us a bit of time to figure out. What we later realized was happening is that someone found out about that campsite being available, and they put it into their cart immediately. Once a campsite is in your cart, you typically have about 15 minutes to complete the reservation. If you don't complete that reservation, it's removed from your cart and becomes newly available. You probably see where I'm going with this. What was happening is someone would come in, see the spot, add it to their cart. Then they would go and look at the details. And then they'd realize there was something about that campsite that wasn't suitable for them, and they would abandon that reservation. Then our system would see that campsite as newly available, and that would trigger a new alert. What's really befuddling is when you see this happen 5 or 6 times in a row, and the site is always unavailable. I helped one member with this exact problem recently, and it helped me understand what was going on. The member reached out to say that a site had opened up at Yosemite and she went to book it, but it was already gone. She received numerous alerts for the same site after that, and she was never able to actually book it. So I clicked through on the link, and lo and behold, it was available to reserve. So I called her up to tell her she could come in and grab it. Of course, by the time I called, someone else had booked it. We sat on the phone for a while and tried to figure out what was going on. And as we scrolled down, we realized that this site could not accommodate an RV that was greater than 24 feet in length, which is not a particularly large RV. What I can tell you is that it was available when I clicked through, and that someone eventually did reserve it, and those alerts stopped coming through. So what we pulled from this was, given that Yosemite is so competitive, anyone who saw that site available immediately put it in their cart, then went to check the details, then saw that their RV wouldn't fit, and proceeded to abandon that reservation. Now there's a trick in here, and I think you've probably already spotted it. It's that if you get an alert for a spot and it's immediately booked, you might want to try refreshing a few times, maybe 15 minutes later or so, and that site might get re-released, and you'll be there before the scan runs, ready to book that spot. This same approach can work when parks open up to take reservations. That first morning where there's that mad dash to book spots, often people start to reserve a campsite and change their mind for some reason. If you hang around that booking site for another 15 to 30 minutes, you might see what appears to be a reserved campsite open up. That's on opening morning. There are no guarantees on this. It's not going to work every time. Just another tip for you that might help at some point in the future. One last note. Sometimes we have a legitimate scanning issue. Sometimes booking systems will toggle a site from unavailable to available and back to unavailable, and these are just weird, anomalous situations that come up from time to time. Most times we can resolve them, but not always. However, if you think that this is happening to you, please reach out to us and we can look into it and see what's happening. Often this allows us to fix that issue for you and for others using our system. That's all I've got. If you have something to contribute here, pop it in the comment section below, or you can reach out to us for one-on-one support through chat on our website. You can also email howdy@campnab.com and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you and happy camping.